What is good, ladies and gentlemen? What is good? It is Monday night, September 8th. And no, this is not Monday Night Football recap. We're talking all things baseball because this is the Black Baseball Mixtape. I want to welcome everyone in. The gang is all here. Before I go too far over the edge, I want to thank our partners and our sponsors, which are the Players Alliance, Numbers Game Scorecards, Rebellion Harvest Sunflower Seeds, Minority Prospects. I want to thank them all. Want to make sure you know the access code, especially for Numbers Game Scorecards, is actually Black Baseball Mixtape written out. I've been telling folks that it's BBM. It's actually Black Baseball Mixtape spelled out, one word, to get the 10% discount and to help the show. So I'm under the impression that the good folks at Numbers Game, if you buy a Black Baseball Mixtape scorecard, it is going to benefit the show. But that's the access code for you to get your discount, to make sure you do that. On this episode, we are talking about a lot as we march towards the playoffs. The wild card races, especially in the AL, is razor tight. That National League West between the Dodgers and Padres have gotten really tight as well. There's a lot of questions about American League MVP, which is now in a race between Aaron Judge and Kyle Riley, who's hitting home runs, who probably just hit a home run as we speak. We're going to talk about it all and more, and we're going to do it with my right-hand man, the Tully Blanchard to Arn Anderson, or the Ole Anderson to Barry Windham, however you want to say it. Okay. Flobo boy.
What's going on,
How are those Mets doing?
Man, as they say out there, they give me agita, man. Every time I think we up, we ain't. When we said we dead, we back. It's kind of crazy. But you said the gang was all here, and we're missing someone today, Cheats. What's up with that?
You are right. Well noted, Flobo. We are missing the birthday boy himself. Butterman Kane is not here as he celebrates his golden era, if you will. So we're wishing Malik the absolute best as he has been celebrating his birthday. Now, I don't exactly know when this happens, like at what age. I'm old, but I've never been my birthday celebration is going to be a weekend, a week, a month. I'm not one of those folks. My wife is. April, when do you start celebrating your birthday? Let me know this. April's in the building, y'all.
I celebrate for the entire month of August.
So when did that? That's a good question.
Big month too, 31 days, right?
Start? Like at what age is it like? Oh, it's not just my birthday; it's a birthday week. It's not just a birthday week; it's a birthday month.
I don't know. I actually believe that it was friends who kind of encouraged it. Like, oh, what are we doing this weekend? What are we doing? And like every weekend it was something, and I'm like, okay, so we're just celebrating the whole month. Then got it, and it just continued. So yeah, the entire month of August, I celebrated my birthday, and I've even taken it a step further, and I do half birthdays now.
Okay, so what's I don't know what this is. What's a half birthday?
You got kids, Cheats. You know what a half birthday is.
Look, we give him 1 day.
Oh wow!
No.
Wow. Is it a contract?
I get 1 day. Arya gets a month. I don't understand how this works.
Okay. So in 6 months, I will be celebrating once again. I'll have a day. I don't do it as big as I do for the actual month of my birthday, but in 6 months, I'll do a little shindig where it's dinner, spa day, something really, really nice to treat myself because, you know, life is out there and we have to celebrate life. It's worth living.
Yeah. I do half birthdays too, because my half birthday is literally Christmas, right? So it's kind of a joke. It's like, yeah, I know it's important for y'all, but it's my half birthday. But to answer your question, I would say in my late 20s, because I had birthdays and I was always a 1 day guy, but everyone had their own lives. Can't see you this weekend. What about next weekend? Oh, I got this project. How about Tuesday afternoon? And it became this thing. And so I'm like, okay, fine. Let's celebrate me about the month of June.
Yeah, see, okay, so my birthday is 3 days after Christmas, so my whole outlook on birthdays is.
Oh, you're just bitter. That's what it is. Combo gift.
No, I love my birthday. I love my birthday. It's fantastic. It's just, it's never like there's a season that's associated with that time of year that I guess you focus on the day, and I'm never like celebrating more than that. Like it's like because Christmas is 3 days before that. New Year's is a week after that. It's just like a whole thing.
Skill issue.
Yeah, my Christmas tree Let me tell y'all something. I celebrate Christmas, and I mean, I don't want to get off track, but I am a celebratory person. If
Right,
you are around me, we are celebrating.
There you go. Well, all right. So really quickly, Flobo, because you dodged the question here a little bit.
What?
Not really, but a little bit. The Mets.
Yeah.
The Mets, as it stands right now, are holding on to that last wild card spot. There's 7 games behind the Phillies in the East. There is 4 games separated between the Giants and the Reds. I'll talk about this later. Highly disappointed overall in the Reds in the NL East. But you were saying they're up, they're down, they're left, they're right. Are you even worried? They've got 4-game lead in the wild card. That's kind of what they're shooting for. Are you worried at all about the Mets?
About them making the playoffs or them going far in the playoffs?
Yeah,
No,
making the playoffs.
I am not worried because as the Mets have done everything in their power to make sure my blood pressure rises every time they take the field. As they didn't get swept last weekend, they got close to being swept by the Reds. That would have been crazy. We're still 2 games behind the Padres for that second spot, and we face the Padres at the end of this week in a 3-game series. So that can flip by Saturday, maybe in our favor or not. So I'm not worried. There's other options. We probably won't catch the Phillies. That's pretty much a wrap. But as far as being the first, the second, or the third wild card, that's still in play for us. So I'm cautiously optimistic, which is secondary to being recklessly optimistic. But I don't want to say it out loud. I don't want to jinx them either.
Let me also
I like where you're going with that. Go ahead, April.
Sorry, Trey Turner and Alec Baum are both on the IL currently as well. Trey Turner with a right hamstring strain and Alec Baum with left shoulder inflammation. So currently that's the 10-day IL. That could be a little bit more. Just wanted to throw that out there as well.
I'm not as worried about the Phillies except for Zach Wheeler. Right, I'm not worried about Baum and Trey Turner. I'm worried about Zach Wheeler, and I'm not worried about them making the playoffs. I'm worried about how they will perform in the playoffs without Zach Wheeler. But hey, look, April, you are not out of the woods because we are jumping right over to you right now to ask you the Dodgers, as it currently constructed, is one game ahead of the Padres in the NL West. Now that may sound like a tight race, but here's the real issue. The real issue is if that flip-flops, right? If that flip-flops and the Padres win the division, you're only looking at, as it stands right now, a 2-game lead? Hold on, I want to make sure I got this 100% right. They're up. The Padres are currently up 2 games over the Mets in the last spot, which is 4 games ahead of the Reds and the Giants. So if whatever reason, if the Dodgers in this last month have a little bit of slippage and the Padres take that division, then they have to look over their shoulder. It's not like a given where they're like way up on the wild card. How concerned are you right now? The Dodgers, by the way, who just lost 2 out of 3 in Baltimore. Shout out to my O's. Those resilient.
Put that team in the game somewhere.
Those resilient. Shout out to Jackson Holiday for breaking the Yamamoto no-hitter in the 9th, and then the wheels came.
Oh, that was fun to watch. That game was like
fun was that game?
Fun for whom? Not for me.
Fun for America.
Before that, really quickly, April. Before that, walk-off home run, first career walk-off home run for Sam Basayo, who's clearly going to be the next everyday player somehow, whether it's catcher or first base in Baltimore. He's going to be there every day, so we're going to figure that out. But walk-off Basayo, the breakup of the no-hitter that Yamamoto was pitching a gem, by the way. The wheels come off. Dodgers do come back Sunday. 2 home runs for Shohei, a home run for Mookie. They get the win. But I say all that. This is a long lead in. I'm going to give you the floor, April. It's a long lead in to say this. The Dodgers, if we look closely, are 3-7 in their last 10 games. How concerned are we about possibly losing the division of the Padres and kind of being worried about the wild card?
Obviously, I am very concerned. I was actually talking to a friend who is a huge Padres fan today. And of course, there is some glee on their end with how the Dodgers are playing. We have the Rockies up right now. We also have the Giants coming up. And I'm going to be honest, I don't know if I have that sense of confidence even going in and playing the Rockies because of how we've been playing as of lately. Saturday night was such a letdown, not just for Yamamoto, but for the team in general. And I'm not over it. I'm not over it because how do you have someone pitch such a great game and be let down that way? And that, by the way, also has been a very consistent thing for Yamamoto this year, where the bullpen and the bats don't go in to be able to support him. So I absolutely feel a way about it. I am not confident that they will be able to go back. And what does make me a little bit more confident is that we're getting Max Muncy back today, which the Dodgers seem to play much better with him in the lineup. Mm-hmm. Quite possibly we're getting Will Smith back tomorrow. I don't know how healthy he's going to be because we just lost Dalton Rushing, but the injury bug has been a consistent thing for us. We're also getting Alex Vesia back in the bullpen. So there are some pieces that are going to be coming back. It's just, will the Dodgers be able to put it together and keep it together to make a consistent run? And I don't know.
Let's look at this really quickly, and Flobo, I want to bring you in on this. So we're talking about the Dodgers. They're one game up in the West, obviously. The wild card's sort of comfortable unless you're playing poorly, which the Dodgers have been recently. But like you said, they got the Rockies in town right now, and they have won the 3 games they played against the Rockies previously. The Rockies, sort of a scrappy bunch, but depends on what Rockies you get. Here's the question, Flobo. They've got a 3-game series coming up against the Giants. Another 3-game series against the Phillies. Then another 3 games against the Giants. They kind of did with the Giants what they did with the Padres. Remember when it was like series, 3 games against somebody else, then another 3 games? That's what they did. They say they sandwiched the Giants with the Phillies in the middle. Then they've got to close out their season a Diamondback series and a Mariners series, which, again, we'll talk about the Mariners in a little bit. They're another team that you really can't put a playoff. They're a moving target, basically, in the playoffs. They're up 1 series down the next. Looking at that, 6 games against the Giants, 3 games against the Phillies, 3 games against the Mariners. Those aren't necessarily cakewalk games. Are you worried that the Dodgers are going to have enough in the tank to pull it out, Flobo?
I don't worry about the Dodgers at all, but let me ask you a question. I understand the idea on paper, putting the interdivision rivals in the bottom half of the season, but right now you have 2 teams, and that is the D-backs and the Giants, who are well equipped to play spoiler for that Dodgers team. Saturday night's game, all right, look, every team has losses, but that kind of loss was a lack of focus because it wasn't like it was a 1-0 game, right? They had 3. They had 3 going in to the top of the ninth, and that just became – the wheels fell off, and it was all
2 outs.
2 outs. Yeah, it was a lack of focus. Okay, Yamamoto didn't have it. It happens, but it wasn't just on him. He got you to the promised land. So when you lose games like that, that's either a lack of chemistry, a lack of focus, or not trusting your team, or maybe being just tired. And we've seen teams get tired. It's the wrong time for the defending champs. So to answer your question, I'm looking at the Mariners because they are kind of a moving target, but you cannot look at the Giants when you play 7 games against and the D-backs that still have a little bit in their tank and say, oh, yeah, they're going to go 11-0.
And the Giants have been playing fairly well as of lately, too.
You really love the D-backs.
I do, man. Somebody has to, man.
You can put the Diamondbacks if you wanted to. There's not a lot left in the Diamondbacks tank.
What are you talking about, man?
Besides Corbin Carroll. That's not a lot left. I will say this, though, April. All right, so we'll do the same thing with the Padres because we just did it with, again, there's a 1-game difference, and we just did it with the Dodgers. The Padres are playing Cincinnati now. They're in Cincinnati series. They got 3 games there. They've got another 3 games against the Rockies. So the Rockies get the Dodgers and the Padres. Let's just say the Rockies aren't world beaters right now. They've got 3 games against the Mets, Flobo. This is the Padres. And then they've got 3 games against the White Sox, which, again, makes the schedule overall a little bit easier. 3 games against the Brewers, the best team in baseball, but that's really towards the end of the season. So the Brewers are probably going to have everything locked up by then, you would think. And then the Diamondbacks, the Padres close out with the Snakes as well. So I would say if I'm looking at the Dodgers schedule versus the Padres schedule, I'd rather want to get the 3 games against the Rockies with the Dodgers get, but another 3 games against the White Sox. I'm not playing, those 6 games, 6, 7 games against the Giants, followed with a Phillies series in between there. Those are just grind type games. I think I would rather be the Padres than the Dodgers, April.
What? No,
I'm talking about with the schedule. You would rather be
if I
the Dodgers.
I'd rather have their schedule. That's not to cut you off, April. I'd rather have their schedules now because I think it's the only time we're going to get something over the Phillies because they're depleted on their injuries and all that. Any other time, I would not go to the Brewers for anything, especially when they're getting over the playoffs. And of course, they end their season with the Snakes. Come on, I love the Snakes. Come on, I'm just saying.
You love the Snakes. I'm trying to
alive,
figure out
baby.
where those games are. Those games against the Brewers are in Pepco, so they're in San Diego.
Yeah, I was gonna ask that too.
Those games are in San Diego. That Chicago series is in Chicago. I get that Met series will turn out to be bigger than we think, and that Met series is indeed in Citi Field. Yep. So I understand what you're saying if you're playing those games on the road, but I think I'd still rather have the Padres schedule going into the end. But again, all of this to say, more than likely both of these teams make the playoffs, right? Like we would have to have a significant jump by the Reds or the Giants to challenge in the NL wild card. The Reds were my pick, remember? I don't know. It was a couple weeks ago, and it's like the Cheatham jinx already just sits in because as soon as I said I think the Reds have the pitching to do it, and by the way, I don't know if you've been paying attention, but Hunter Green has been phenomenal since he's been back from the IL. Hunter Green's been great. Chase Burns is still out. But the Reds, you want to talk about a team that's really been up and down. The Reds just don't seem to be in a position for whatever reason to get it done. And I want to say, is it Ellie De La Cruz that is leading? Is he leading the league in errors? I think at 23 errors, Ellie De La Cruz is leading the
yes, that's correct.
league.
Yeah.
And with errors, followed by Volpe. So 2 questions. Do we have any more confidence or belief in the Reds? And will Ellie De La Cruz be playing shortstop next year?
Ellie has to. And I think it's a little bit different than, say, what Volpe is going through because Volpe is on a team that has its own branding. Not to say the Reds do not, but I do think the Yankees have a lot more latitude to make personnel changes. But when you think about superstar level talent on a team that until recently was kind of overlooked, it'll be very hard to move Ellie from that position. Just because of what it means to the Souvenir Cup contingent. My favorite part of the baseball game is getting people to buy a ticket. So even though he has the most errors, he's still pretty fast. He's still pretty athletic. People buy his jerseys. I think that matters for small market teams.
Well, my question to y'all is, like, with the errors, is it like an error type thing? Like, because, Volpe has made some errors, but a lot of Ellie's errors are also because he is very
athletic.
Yes.
Yeah. So there's two things about this. I think the 23 errors is a league leading errors for like the scorebook, right? Like, but I also think now I did not know this until today, but I do think the sabermetrics era categories are a little bit more like take into account for that. And he still leads the league in errors. So, yes. So the answer to your question is yes and yes. He gets the errors because of his athleticism in some ways and how hard he throws the ball. Yes. He also gets the errors because he makes more errors than everybody else.
I was going to say risky was the word that I used. Like he's able to get risky plays and still attempt them. And that obviously costs at some point in time. My other question was, I know we're looking at the defensive end. Where is he on the strikeout level?
I did not look at because I that's a good question. If somebody can look it up, up. But I know offensive wise, he's still one. I mean, he's one of the he's one of the team leaders in just about everything for the Reds,
Right.
and definitely one. He's a all-star caliber bat, right? And
25.9K rate.
right. So here's the thing. The thing about what Flobo is mentioning is something that I do think cannot be overlooked in a market not in New York, LA, or Chicago, or even Atlanta, right? Ellie De La Cruz's box office. He puts butts in seats. Can he do that in center field, Flobo? I think Flobo's frozen.
Did he go frozen?
I think he went frozen.
Oh, full. Right on.
Let's see. I'll ask you the same question, April. While we see the work to get Flobo back. Box office is important. Ticket sales are important. Ellie De La Cruz is a premier player, is a premier all-star at shortstop. Can he do the same if he's not playing shortstop? Will he be as exciting?
Yeah, I think that he would be a great center fielder. He's fast. He has a great arm. We've seen his arm at play many times. And I honestly have been wondering when the move was actually going to be made for him.
You and our guy Sanchez from the Baseball Aficionado as well, who actually said Ellie De La Cruz would not be shortstop this year. he was trying to bench him last year.
Yeah. I think that Ellie is a very talented player and we talked about the athleticism. So moving him to that level of position would only be an asset for the team, but it would also be great for him, for us to be able to see his athleticism be displayed in the outfield. We saw it with Tatis as well. So that's kind of what I would liken it to. And yeah, I absolutely think that he would be successful out there.
And we've got Flobo back, so we'll put a button on this. But the question you were about to answer before, I think we froze up a little bit, was the box office factor of Ellie De La Cruz. Can he be equally as box office if he's not playing shortstop in a town like Cincinnati? If he's playing center field or if he's playing left or right field, does that put butts in seats for a market that needs butts in seats like the Reds?
If the Reds decide to keep him there and move his position, it probably might be a letdown, right? Like being the shortstop of a team is like akin to being the quarterback, right? With that comes with a bit rate, so it might be seen as a demotion. Yeah, you could still use Ellie the same way, and he was a team player, it would work. But I do think that will put a hard division in his career of being the shortstop for the Cincinnati Reds for playing the 8 or the 9. If you mention another team, it depends who is on the roster. He could be a superstar in a smaller market. He could be a superstar in a slightly bigger market. But if he goes to LA, for example, the Dodgers, not the Angels. If he goes to LA, he's not going to be a superstar because they already have superstars there. You can't do that in New York. You can't do that in both teams in New York. So he doesn't really have enough places that he can move to be a shortstop and still be a superstar level. But at the same time, those errors will have to come to roost on some aspect as well. So it's almost like in a weird way, he put himself in a position to stay there in Cincinnati.
Here's the thing, and I mean this sincerely. If he can't play shortstop in Cincinnati, he can't play shortstop anywhere. Like, why would you move him to another team to have him play shortstop? Like, if he's still leading the league in errors. Like, no one's going to take that on, right? Like, his best shot to play shortstop, I think, is playing it in Cincinnati.
Yeah, I agree.
But I also think that they're going to look at the end of this season and look at these areas. And again, I'm watching a lot. I'm watching a lot of the Reds games and Red highlights. There's not a lot of games where you're like, the Reds lost that game because Ellie De La Cruz dropped the ball or made a bad throw. Right? It's not like game on the line type stuff. But I do think there's going to be a cumulative factor where you're looking at this and saying, can Edwin Arroyo play shortstop better than him?
Look, as a coach, you're right. If you can't play shortstop here, you won't be able to do it there. But at the same time, when you think about the rosters that could use an Ellie De La Cruz, of which there are many. I think if he was moved, he'd be put in that position first because if you can play shortstop, you can play a lot of the infield. It doesn't quite work the same way. Malik talks about this all the time. So I'm with you. Like, you want to be able to be good and tighten things up. And if Ellie wants to be a superstar, like most superstars do in the offseason, you work on the things you need to work on to get better. But as it stands right now, it's almost like you wouldn't move him because of his superstar status in that town. And you really move him in the lineup or on the field because you think you're kind of wasting some of his athleticism, even if he's out in the outfield.
Yeah, I mean, here's the good. I think the prime and case study of this right now, of what we speak, is another O'Neal. Another Cruz, which is O'Neal Cruz, right? O'Neal Cruz moves from shortstop to center field. He's had an electric, for the most part, this season. Obviously, the Pirates have not had a great season, but he's been an electric bat in that lineup. He now plays center field. I don't know if O'Neal Cruz is as top of mind as he used to be when he was playing shortstop, honestly. But, I think that's I've said this before. I think that's the future of where Ellie De La Cruz goes. I think he goes in the outfield, and I do think he will continue to be an electric player, an electric bat. I don't know if he will continue to galvanize the scene if he's not playing that premier position at shortstop, but I think that's where his future holds because I think the data is going to back up the fact that it's like, hey man, you could get a more solid, more efficient defensive shortstop in there. With that said, before we completely change the gears, one of the reasons I know the Ellie De La Cruz era stat as well as I know it is because I read a lengthy article today on the future of the Nationals organization. Shout out to the Just Baseball. I believe the writer's name was Clay Snowden that put this one together. Really good article. However, it also highlighted if we talked about eras, especially in the infield, Ellie De La Cruz was 1 at 23. Anthony Volpe was 2 at 18. Could you guess who number 3 is? Who's made the most eras attributed to the third most eras this season attributed to their name? I just gave you the biggest hint.
Yeah, we're thinking hard, Cheats.
I just gave you the biggest hint. And a shout out to the article and the writer of the article because I said it was the Nationals. It's actually CJ Abrams.
What?
CJ Abrams at 7 eras this season. Wow. When the article was, and I want to ask all of you this because by all cases and points, especially offensively, CJ Abrams is having another career year. He's having actually a really good year at the plate. He just missed out on the All-Star game. Obviously, James Wood went to the All-Star game, but CJ just missed out on the All-Star game. He is hitting well. He's showing promise in regards to all of the offensive categories. However, he has regressed, if you will, taking a step back, and he's always had some questions about his defense. The 17 eras puts him in a question where it's either going to be outfield or second base, possibly in the future. I will also say CJ Abrams is much younger than people think. I think he just turned 24.
Right.
If that, he might be younger than that. I think he's 24, but he might be younger than that. Do you see? 24. Do you see the Nats making? And I will also say attributes to. They were saying, unlike Ellie De La Cruz, where you were like his athleticism puts him in a lot of positions to make risky plays. The situation with Abrams is it seems like defensive range is now a problem. Accuracy with his throws are pretty much a problem. So it's like he's pretty short-handed if he can get to the ball per se. But they were saying this probably puts him in a position to not necessarily go to the outfield like an O'Neal or Ellie, but to go to second base. Would you move CJ Abrams, 24 years old, potential All-Star, probably will make another All-Star game before his career, if the numbers bear out that he probably should be playing either second base or the outfield?
Yeah, you do that. I would say yeah. If this was my team and I was general manager, second base would be the first assignment to see if you can work there first, or at least take reps at second base because you want them on the dirt. You want players with that kind of like fast twitch muscle work in the dirt. but yeah, you can always upgrade at shortstop too. The Nationals have a slew of problems, lots of problems from their team lineup and construction. You got to take things one thing at a time. But at the same time, you put C.J. Abrams in that outfield, that could be unveiling a lot of other defensive liabilities, arm strength, quickness as well.
Mm-hmm.
I'll be able to shack the balls down. So if it was my choice, yes, I'll move him second first. If it doesn't work, then try something else. But yeah, to say, you know what, we're gonna put you out in right field out of nowhere, I don't think that's gonna happen.
No. I think that he would be very efficient at second base. If you watch him play and you see the moves that he makes, I think that he would fit right in there if there isn't an improvement where he's playing at shortstop. I'm not opposed to that move whatsoever. So we'll go on ahead and see. I hope that he will be able to improve and remain at short. But if he doesn't, I don't think that it's a bad thing for him to shift over to second base.
Yeah, on this particular Nationals team, I'm gonna be honest with you. The question is, do they have, again, like we were talking about with O'Neal Cruz? I mean, I say O'Neal with Ellie De La Cruz. Do you have a shortstop in your organization that can play the game better than the shortstop that you have?
Right.
And I think that's the question for both organizations. So, does the Reds, which some people would say yes, but do the Reds have a better shortstop in the pipeline defensively, not offensively, but defensively, that can play the position more surely than Ellie De La Cruz can? That's possible. That's possible. The Nats, their farm system is pretty bare. Seaver King is, I think, the top infield prospect for the Nationals, around number 8. He is, I think he made it to Double A this year. He came out of, he's a first round draft pick out of Wake Forest. Actually been on the podcast for a little bit till Coach DeShields pulled him away in the middle of our interview, by the way. But still, I would argue that he's at least another year away in that farm system, right? Like if he starts next year in Double A, works his way up to Double A, maybe Triple A, maybe the majors next year, possibly. But I think that would be a big jump. I don't think you still go into spring training thinking Seaver King is going to be your starting everyday shortstop. A guy hasn't got out of Double A yet. The other side of this coin is you're the Nationals. Your outfield, as currently constructed, your outfield for long-term future, if you're lucky, is James Wood in left, Jacob Young in center, and Dylan Cruz in right. Now, Dylan Cruz had some injuries. There's another player that has been cracking the code, and that's the rookie Dalen Lyle, who plays outfield for the Nats. And if you've been following Finish Your Breakfast quite a bit, you know that Lyle's been in the highlights just as much as just about any of those other guys in the second half. So you got to figure out what you're doing with James Young and James Wood, who's going to be the foundational piece there, and possibly has, his 27 home runs right now. And that's with a dramatic fall off offensively in the second half. So he's your foundation piece for the future. I think despite the injuries that he's had early on, Dylan Cruz kind of made it to the major leagues, not exactly as fast as Paul Skeens, but damn near close coming out of LSU. He was up pretty quickly last year, right? So ideally, he hasn't really performed at the major league level how he performed in obviously college, but they're still optimistic about Dylan Cruz, right? So those are your corners. Jacob Young is a super speedster in center field. Like I said, Dalen Lyle's knocking on the door there. There's a chance. I don't know if you guys have been following the Nats that closely. They're not, based off of my observation, they like a Nasim Nunez. They like him as a player, but they don't like him enough to be like, you're my everyday starting shortstop. Like, that makes sense? Like, you're my everyday. They like Trey Lipscomb. I don't know if they like him enough to be like, you're my everyday starting third baseman type thing. So there's a chance that a Nasim Nunez plays short, CJ Abrams plays second, and they move forward there. But you're going to need a lot more offensive production from some of those aforementioned guys if you're going to be comfortable trying. This is a team that they really thought was going to be better than they are this year.
I disagree. I disagree on that. I think at the top of the season, we were saying this is going to write off the national team at all. We said, hey, look, the Mets are kind of good to go. The Phillies are going to be the Stackhouse team. The Braves are going to bounce back after that down year. Pretty much everyone had the Nationals in the basement. And then the first top half of the season, when the young boys were showing out, people were saying, oh, maybe they're ahead of schedule. Maybe it won't be as bad as it was. But you realize with no veteran core, it kind of collapsed this season. Now, I will say that there's opportunity for them to really come back and really be in this NL East and be competitive. But you're absolutely right. There has to be some upgrades. I'm not really sure it's going to be like what the Angels are doing and getting like reclamated parts. But I don't think it started off with everyone writing them off the way it was.
No, I don't think people wrote them off. I think it started off with this team is young and they're gonna be better. Like, and I will tell you. The main thing that backs me up on this is the proof is in the pudding. They don't fire the GM and they don't fire the coach if they thought they were going to be this bad. If they thought this was, hey, I'm serious.
The coach got himself fired.
I think I think the interview and the coaching and all that stuff, that's just exasperating the frustration they had with the organization. Period. Because again, Davey Martinez could have stood up at that press conference and said the exact same thing, and if the Nationals were the Marlins, he would still have his job. Period. I mean, I just get because winning changes all of this. We know this. We're in the baseball and the sports business. If you're winning, you can do a whole bunch of stuff.
True.
You can say you can talk about whose fault it is, who's not. Again, what was the genesis of the comments, April? You covered them pretty closely. The genesis of the comments were they're not performing as well as they should have, and the coach is like, "It's not my fault. The players got to play." And if they had been performing better, right, April? I think Davey Martinez keeps his job. Mike Rizzo has his job, and I don't think they needed to be first place because again, nobody thought the Braves were going to be this bad. Nobody thought the Marlins were going to be this good. But I do think. Both of you guys are wonderful experts. But I do think in the case of the Nats, right, they thought they were going to be better, right, April?
Yeah, I agree with that. I also believe that with the Nats going into the season, one of our major concerns was always pitching. So we knew that Josiah Gray was not going to be available, and then wondering who was going to be another consistent arm starting and from the bullpen. And when they didn't have that level of consistency, it began to show throughout because the team was scrappy enough to go out there and still win games and beat teams that you weren't expecting them to beat. But whenever it got down the stretch and pitching mattered, that was when you saw them particularly cave. And unfortunately, it happened because I remember watching the Nats win some very close games and you see the lights flickering, off and on, and we're literally cheering, talking about the Black Nats. But, it's a long season and we have to be aware of exactly what a long season consists of. And that includes having some good, consistent arms. So, I mean, it's unfortunately Davey Martinez, what happened with him. But I think that was just a catapult to everything as well. Like it was already there. They probably were questioning it. But whenever you go out there and say that, it's not something that you're going to continue to be able to keep around with a young team, a young core that you need to be able to perform at their best.
Yeah, no, I think pitching matters for a lot of teams, right? And in the injury history as well. I mean, Mackenzie Gore is going to be a solid pitcher. I don't know if he's going to be an ace, but he is a solid pitcher. There's a couple other guys that they thought were going to be better. Cade Cavalli is one of them that they really thought they were really high on. But I will say. And we spent way too much time on the Nats per se. But go ahead, Flobo.
But not enough because I was looking at the current as it is right now, the MLB rank for their prom system. So they're ranked 23rd out of 30. But it's actually but it's like the end of a worrying trend because their preseason rank was 13th. Their midseason rank last year was 10th. Their preseason rank last year was 12th, and 2 years ago they were at 8. So they were in the single digits about 2 seasons ago. But to your point, there really hasn't been much to hold on to, save for the shortstop, the one they have in the system now. So it is interesting, and I think you nailed it. They don't really have that young core to give the kid a shot compared to others.
Yeah, no, and again, that the reason why those players are dwindling off that prospect list, right, is because they've been getting called up. James Wood's up, Dylan Cruz is up. Who's the guy? Sorkini. There's I know Cavalli was on that list as well. Like a lot of these prospect guys are up. Now you're in the Orioles situation as well, where it's like, okay, you guys are up. Now you got to perform, right? You can't just be the cute young startups. You got to win games. And winning games is a lot harder than showing those flashes. Consistently winning games is harder than showing those flashes. But it'll be interesting to see. I do think that right now their farm system is pretty bare. Pretty bare. There's the Yarlin Sansana, who's still in the farm system. He's like, these guys are 21 years old. Like these guys are not, right. They're not in a position unless you kind of really speed rush them to get them up there and see what they've got next season. So I'm just interested. This started with what do you do with CJ Abrams, because he's got just a ton of potential, like a ton. I mean, potential is not even probably the right word for CJ Abrams at this point. He's been an all-star. He's got 17 home runs this year. He's batting 265. 53 RBIs, 28 stolen bases, 3.3 WAR. He's a good Major League Baseball player. James Wood, again, another good Major League Baseball player, right? So the pitching, I think, is what would hurt a team like the Nats, and making some of those guys turning the corner. Some of the Dylan Cruzes of the world, Josh Bell's been so we'll see. Before we switch, I want to switch topics. Before we really do, I just want to make sure again that you guys are checking out our partners. That's right, our sponsors, the Players Alliance, Numbers Game Scorecards, Rebellion Harvest Sunflower Seeds have been restocked and reloaded. Make sure you go to their website as well. Minority Prospects has been all over the country doing wonderful development work. If you are not familiar with their organization, it is the only database that you can upload your player profiles. I believe you can upload them for free and have those videos for your class of 28, class of 29, class of obviously this year's 26. Get your videos, get your kind of development scouting tools that goes out to all the coaches. So that's what Minority Prospects does. It runs a very large minority baseball database, just like the top-notch companies. If you're looking at Perfect Game or PBR or those types of things, make sure you follow Minority Prospects as they do. So they're wonderful sponsors. I want to shift gears because one of the things we did want to talk about, especially in the American League, was our American League MVP race. Now, when we started the season, Aaron Judge was the favorite. When we got to the All-Star break, Aaron Judge was the favorite. Even though there was some rumblings about this switch hitting catcher out of Seattle that's been hitting home runs, seems like every other day. Then we get to the All-Star game, and I'm going to be honest with you, I think that's when a lot of people started to learn the name Cal Raleigh. His just name was ringing out in Atlanta quite a bit as he kind of was turning heads and having these kind of Cinderella stories when you're hearing about Cal Raleigh and his, even his participation in the home run derby and those types of things. And then the second half of this season, Cal Raleigh has just absolutely exploded. He is obviously sitting on top of Major League Baseball's home run totals, but more so than that, this is the Seattle Mariners switch hitting catcher. He is actually sitting at 53 home runs at the time of this recording. He probably hit one again. He's probably going to hit one again by the time we're over. But because he's a switch hitting catcher, because he's a catcher every day, and we're talking about, the first guy to hit 50 home runs as a switch hitter since Mickey Mantle, we're talking about the first everyday catcher to hit these home run totals. Meanwhile, all of this is going on, and Aaron Judge has still been really good. I'm not going to lie to you. Aaron Judge has been good, but Aaron Judge has actually been on the IL as well. He went on, he's had the flexor. He went on the IL for at least 10 days. He came back and he said he was going to DH. He just got back to the outfield. So I would say now the numbers give Cal Raleigh the slight favorite, if you will, to win the American League MVP over Aaron Judge. I'm going to go to you first, April, because I know this was your topic. Do you have a read on who you think should be the American League MVP?
Yes, I do. And my pick is Mr. All Rise, Aaron Judge, still. I know that a lot of people are currently fixated on the Cal Raleigh situation, and I
fixated.
I too am.
We are grown men on this show, Flobo. There is no pauses. I listened to the Ghostface Killer album. There are no pauses on this show.
There are people who are they love the Cal Raleigh story, and I do too. And I feel like that is something that has been led upon by quite a few people who have watched. But I just sent y'all the AL MVP race numbers, and these numbers clear. If we're looking at numbers and we're being technical, then Aaron Judge is still leading in many categories. Now, what does have to be considered is, of course, the value of a player to its team and also the value of a player to the league. I do believe that that plays a role in how people perceive who MVP is. And for me, we know that when Aaron Judge is in the lineup, you know that the Yankees are going to perform. And they were in that dreadful slump. He was not healthy. But for Cal Raleigh, what impresses me is, yes, he is a catcher. He is playing what most people would say is the most difficult position out there, and to be a switch hitting catcher, like all of that is very impressive. It's just hard for me to move away from not just Aaron Judge was my pick before the season even started. And I think that a lot of people just forget what Aaron Judge was doing before this particular injury occurred. And that's not to take anything away from Cal Raleigh and his success and him winning the home run derby. I just believe that currently it's still Aaron Judge's.
Okay. So dig a little bit deeper. You mentioned you had the graphic up. We're kind of looking at it. It's a little bit dated now that Raleigh has 53 home runs. Judge is what is Judge sitting at? He's got is he at 43 still, or is he a little bit more? Hold on one second. But walk me through this, because there is part of me that agrees with you, in regards to Aaron Judge has 43 home runs still. Yes. Part of me that agrees with you in regards to everything you just said, right? But then there's also as Flobo says, as Flobo always alludes to, there's like this narrative, this storytelling, this what can I sell to the world? And the Cal Raleigh story is a story that I really can sell, right? I don't know if it's that narrative, right, of the switch hitting catcher coming out of nowhere, great nickname, home run derby champion, and he just hasn't dropped off. And don't get me wrong, because we all like history, and I'm talking about recent history, but there's also a little bit of there's always some fatigue in there, right, Flobo? Aaron Judge has won MVP the last 2 years, right? So, like, more than that. So my question is, Flobo, I tend to agree with April's argument on the numbers as it stands right now. Is that enough for you, or is there some Raleigh magic because you like the story and you may be a little bit tired of Aaron Judge.
I'm tired of Aaron Judge for lots of reasons, but let's be real, man. This I hate the MVP race. Because to me, and I'll tell you why. Because 2 years ago, everyone just kind of decided, and I'm talking about the Mookie. I'm actually going to be pro Dodgers here. The Mookie Betts versus Ronald Acuna situation from 2 years ago. Mookie was way more valuable to that Dodgers squad, but we went to Acuna because of individual stats. Last year, if Lindor was not on, the Mets do not even sniff the playoffs. But Shohei invented a new stat, so he gets the MVP. So the idea of the most valuable player being the one to help out the squad and just be the best individual thing has really given way to the player with the best individual stats. So using that, then it is Aaron Judge because he does lead most categories. It makes me sick. It's boring because it's a team game, but it's the way it's got to be from now to the end of time. I guess I'm all rising when it comes to MVP stuff. But Kyle Riley was robbed, and he will be robbed come November.
Well, I mean, so let's stick with that really quick because I want to know if you think he's being robbed, then you'd think he should be MVP.
I believe so. I believe I am classically in the camp. Hold on, I'm classic in the camp that individual effort to help your team be in the conversation should outweigh individual stats when it comes to that. I think what we're seeing now more than ever, especially with sabermetrics, we have these graphics that we have right here that says, hey, look, Aaron Judge leads more categories. This proves numerically he's more valuable. And I get that, but maybe I'm too old school when I say, if Kyle Riley did not bring this season to the Seattle Mariners team, they're not nearly in the position that they are right now. That makes them valuable.
So I think you and I think maybe several of the world and I look at this differently in the sense of what do you think MVP
That's what I was saying.
And when you're the American League MVP or the National League MVP, I do not believe it means you are the most valuable player to your team. I believe you are the most valuable player to the league.
And that's what I'm saying.
So when I say who's more valuable to the league, damn straight Shohei Ohtani's 50-50 season was more valuable to the league than anyone else. And I will go back 2 years ago and say that Ronald Acuna, what did he do? Like
40-70 or something?
40-70.
More valuable to the
league. But that's
league
a fundamental difference. But
anyone on the Dodgers.
I agree with that. Sorry, I cut you off, April. No. Go ahead. I've been cutting you off all day. My bad.
No, you already know I had the Mookie Betts argument many times, and everybody ignored me until it got towards the end. Because for me, it wasn't just the fact that Mookie Betts had a great season that time, because everybody started looking at him in that August. Mookie Betts had an incredible season, moving from right field to shortstop to second initially. And so when we talk about value, that was the season where we saw a lot of the Dodgers players being injured and him being consistent and him playing. In this particular incident, that's why I asked the question, is it to the team or to the league? And that's why I stated that for me, Aaron Judge was that guy because he is significant to both. When he is not in that Yankees lineup, they do not perform well. That is, we can look at whatever pops up. So when it comes down to him literally performing, it was a finish your breakfast every day with Aaron Judge and Byron Buxton.
It's a good show. It's a good show.
So
it's a great
so in that regard, then yes. Now with Lindor, I will say last year, what hurt Lindor was the start of his season. If Lindor had started the season the way that he ended it, I absolutely believe that we would have had a different conversation in regards to MVP. In this situation right now with Kyle Riley, one of the things that kind of makes me be like, I don't know, is there's way too much of a focus on the home run thing than him being a complete player. And I know you're going to say, well, that was what Shohei did, but
don't even play defense. You're the most valuable player to a league and you played half the game, right? By your estimation, most valuable players in the league, and Shohei didn't do half the work, but I digress.
But my point with Cal is,
I'm telling you, this is a Crazy argument.
Okay, look.
Shohei Ohtani went 50-50.
No, look, Keith, I agree with you. The MVP to me was always being the person that was good to your team because your team is a team-based sport. But like I said, 2 years ago, I realized we are going to the league. The league is more important. It's an individual award. Then yes, Aaron Judge is. So I agree with you. Begrudgingly, I think it sucks. I feel bad for guys like Kyle Riley who will never have a season like this again. But it's going to be Judge and Shohei Ohtani forever. That's what it's going to be.
But if it's Judge and Shohei Ohtani forever, then I am willing to give it to them until they actually leave the league if they are the best players who earnestly deserve it. And that is something that this man has shown, in my opinion. It is his until it is legitimately taken. If we have to have a debate about if someone may be the MVP, then it doesn't belong to them because Aaron Judge has consistently shown us that he is Mr. All Rise himself.
Does Aaron, because you said about Lindor's cold start, does Aaron Judge still get that conversation despite how many games he missed this season?
That's a great question.
He hasn't missed that many.
I'm just right? saying. If injury time is going to impact, what is the line for impacting? Granted, if I had Tommy John surgery, right? Yeah,
it could.
As it currently stands right now, based off of the argument that I just said too about being the most valuable to the league, I do like the Cal Raleigh narrative and story, and obviously the guy's got 53 home runs. He's had an absolute phenomenal season to date. There is still a chance that both of these teams, really more so the Mariners, but there is a chance that this team misses the playoffs. If he finishes with 58, 60, 61, 62 home runs and they miss the playoffs, what are we talking about here? That
doesn't make any sense. It's a regular season record. The MVP is a regular season record. That's irrelevant.
You're saying it's a team sport.
It is a team sport, but it's a regular season record.
If his team to the postseason, then
because the MVP should count just for the regular season. It's not.
I agree. I understand what you're saying. What I would say is basically by every other category right now, besides 53 to 43 home run wise.
Agreed.
Aaron Judge is
agreed.
Better,
yeah, I agree with you.
Aaron Judge is
Can't argue
better.
Numbers.
With that said, there's a good chance too that 10 home run gap gets closed by the end of the season as well. So if Aaron Judge is better in every statistical category and he's 4 home runs, 5 home runs behind, even if he's 10 home runs behind Kyle Raleigh, Aaron Judge is still
that's the thing, Cheats, because I've said I agree with you. I said that I'm begrudgingly hating it.
And I agree with April. The answer is we all agree with April.
I begrudgingly hate it because I really feel like the rationale has changed with the advent of numbers. But if you're going to argue numbers, this man leads in every category. It would be a shame if we're going to assume it's better for the league and who leads more categories. Then yes, Aaron Judge has won that mini game. Here's your MVP trophy.
Yeah, and I don't. That's a good point. You do make a good point in the sense that I don't think it's tick for tack, number for number, right? Because unlike you guys, I do believe that Ronald Acuna should have won the MVP in 2023. And I looked at the numbers, and Mookie Betts did have a phenomenal year. An absolutely phenomenal year. Ronald Acuna did over 70 stolen bases and over 40 home runs. And I'm looking at this like, wow. Like, and again, if you're looking at sabermetrics, tag for tag, I'm sure you could have found a way that Mookie Betts, with that, that season he had an unreal year, right? And again, I do I think Shohei Ohtani's 50-50 year is MVP worthy.
How?
I do.
How do you do that? Because there is a DH award, right? That goes out. I asked you this. I'm not trying to knock Shohei Ohtani. This is not Dodger hate April. I'm saying there is a Hank Aaron award, right? You're telling me someone who does not play defense, which is half of the game, can be in the conversation and win the most valuable player award if it's just about categories?
And I don't even think he's not in the conversation. He won it.
That's what I'm saying. This whole MVP thing is broken. If you're going to pick categories and go, Shohei Ohtani had 90 steals, he wins, then why are we even doing this? Why even have the debates?
I mean,
let's look at numbers one day and say you win.
Flobo, he's gonna win again
I know.
this year.
It's okay because it makes more sense
and
this year.
And he should. But this year's different because he's pitching. So do you feel that it's different because he's pitching?
Pitching is a defensive position.
I love it. I love it. No, I mean, I'm. You are definitely. That's a discussion and debate that we should definitely dig into on a future episode, like an even longer form. Should a MVP candidate should even be considered without playing any defense whatsoever? Again, that doesn't apply this year because Shohei is on the mound. He is throwing, and he's still hitting a ton. Good God, he's an amazing player. So we will move on as we close out this wonderful episode. I do want to bring up a very controversial point. There's been a lot of controversy in Houston. There's been a lot of controversy in Houston this last week. Malik is not here to talk about his hero, Taylor Trammell, and the whole bat incident of his bat was illegal, but it didn't give him any advantages. Right. So we're just going to let this slide. A little crazy there. But I will always stand by free Taylor Trammell. He didn't do anything wrong. I do want to talk about Farmer Valdez and what happened in this Yankees series. I'm sure everybody's seen the clip, but again, there's the catcher, Salazar, I believe it is trying to wave him off to him to step off the mound. He does not step off the mound. He throws a pitch to Trent Grisham, who knocks it over the wall. Shout out to Trent Grisham, by the way. 30 home runs, a career high for him. The very next pitch, he seems to have crossed up his own catcher, hits him dead in the chest with a fastball. And here's the thing. There is I think Valdez is Dominican, right? I believe he's from the Dominican. Is he Dominican? I believe he's Dominican. But I say all that to say there is like no emotion after he hits his pitcher in the chest. And this is where he gets in trouble because body language does tell the tale here. Hits him in the chest, no emotion, just turns around and just like, oh, well, like next pitch. Post game, through an interpreter, Valdez says he would never do that. He did not intend to do that. They were just kind of signals crossed, blah, blah, blah. Every commentary person that covers baseball in the world says that Valdez did it on purpose. This just doesn't happen. And he looks like he did it on purpose. And if he did do it on purpose, he should not only be like it shouldn't be like a league thing, but the team should either sit him down, beat him up, do something to him, because this was again, baseball, Flobo, baseball has all of these unwritten rules, and we get sick of them, and they seem to be going by the wayside. But I didn't even know this was an unwritten rule till this weekend. But you don't cross up your catcher, you don't embarrass him that way, and I don't know this. I've been following baseball my whole life. I didn't know this because I've never seen it happen before. I've never seen this happen in this fashion before. But it looked absolutely awful. And it looked like they had to do damage control afterwards. You saw this, Flobo. What did you think when all of this was playing out?
My softball career was very limited, but I did play catcher. So I got crossed up myself. So I knew that rule very well. Yeah, you know what? It's back then we used hand signals. And it's very, very simple what you want and what you're expecting. You're a professional. Now you have the pitch com, so he's even more specific. Yeah, I get it. You were frustrated, but to like being your own catcher, and he didn't see it coming. What if he broke a finger? Then it'd have been on you for that. Houston got a lot of haters, but you can't have to laugh when they get mad at their own players. You know what I'm saying? It's very weird. There's other ways they could do it. You could have just stepped off and avoided everything. You gave up the homer. That's on you. Like, why are you mad, Bamber? Why are you mad?
April, you saw this thing go down as well. You live in Houston. What do you make of this one?
First of all, what precedes Framber Valdez is his own actions. So I actually believe that most people believe that he did it on purpose because he's known for doing things on purpose. And for me, it was like when he threw it, the way that he threw it, and then the way that he turned around after, you knew that he was angry about it. So regardless of whether he feels that it wasn't that way, like when you typically move in a certain behavior, that's how people are going to perceive it, which is very unfortunate. And there was already some beef between, I don't want to, maybe beef isn't the right word. There were some discrepancies between him and the catcher prior to that. So yeah, that whole thing, I don't care what he says. I have eyes. My eyes saw exactly what happened. Even if you say that you didn't do it on purpose, that's not the way it looks, sir. So I'm interested to hear what Malik says whenever he returns, but I'm not buying the whole that it was that's not what it was.
Well,
and I think that he wanted to let his catcher know that, look, you may be catching for me, but I still throw the ball.
But why? Like, it wasn't like he said the wrong pitch. He said, "Hey man, take a breather, step off." Like, why is he mad?
That's getting into
the body language is horrible. Yes. The body language was horrible. Now and again, after the game, they seemed to got together, got their story straight, and came out kind of jointly and said, "Oh, he would never do this. We just got our signals crossed." But it did not look that way. Like April said, we have eyes, and it did not look that way. It looked horrible. Last question on this. If indeed it was what it looked like, should there be some type of punishment for Valdez?
That is strictly internal. If it's same team and they already had the damage control, we just got crossed up. Like there were a bunch of amateurs. Someone had some kind of court being held behind the locker room. So I doubt it though.
Yeah, I don't know if that's a decision that they make at this point in the game with it being so close to the postseason. I don't know if that's something that they want to do. So
right, because again, you're the Astros, and let's really quickly take a look at this as well. The Astros have a 2.5 game lead in the division over the Mariners, and then the Mariners are holding on to that last wild card spot. So again, very much like we were talking about earlier with the Padres and the Dodgers. If that flips, it's not like there are people closing in. They're closing in on the Mariners and the Astros. The Rangers, the Rangers, the Rays, and the Royals are closing in. So you want to win that division. In order to win that division, you want all your guns blazing, and Valdez is one of their pitching guns.
Mm-hmm.
But no one's above the team. Well, no one's above the team.
That was fun. Let's finish up on a little bit of fun as well. We've been talking a lot about this in these players in these seasons. 2025 has been a breakout season for a number of players, but 3 stand out to me in particular, and that's Jo Adell, who Joe Adell just hit yesterday. He just hit his 35th home run. Prior to this year, he'd only had prior to this year, he had 20 home runs. That was his career high up until he got 30. He's at 35 and counting now. He was an absolute all-star snub. I did not realize how bad the snubbage was until I went back and really digged into the numbers. Jo Adell absolutely should have been a Major League Baseball all-star player this year, especially with like if he didn't get on through all the balloting and all the things they did, he should have been on. Should have got that honor through a replacement. He did not. So he did not go to the All-Star game this year, but he may have much more when he finishes with these career numbers. Jo Adell, I believe Jo Adell is 26 years old. I want to preference this for the conversation we're about to have. Trent Grisham just hit his 30th home run, and he is having a career year in the Bronx of all places. Now and again, lefty hitter, short porch, 30 home runs. But he's also solidified himself as a person that is, a leadoff hitter for this Yankee team and a very, very serviceable outfielder. Even though that was probably the biggest question going into the season, what you can do with Trent Grisham defensively. But he has just performed above and beyond. He's having a career year. He is 28 years old. So 28, 26 for Adell, 28 for Grisham, 31 for Byron Buxton, who is also now having a career year. He just hit his 30th home run. He is now over 20 stolen bases this year. At 31 years old, he's the fastest player on the Twins, one of the fastest players in the league when he's being clocked from home plate to first and from first to third. And he has put it all together. And he of the people we're just mentioning, Joe Adell, Trent Grisham, Byron Buxton is by far the best defensive glove. He is an elite defensive center fielder as well. He's having a career year. So I'll stop there to say, I'll start with you, April. Joe Adell, 26, Trent Grisham, 28, Byron Buxton, 31, all of them having career years. To you, which of these three are having the most surprising year and the most significant year?
I'm going to go with Byron Buxton. And for me, it's also the fact that we get to see him play at this level and him be consistently healthy this year. And I'm just so excited to see him not just be able to hit well, but he is also playing well defensively. It is the Byron Buxton that we have witnessed from the beginning of his career to now. So I know we're going to focus on the offensive side, but man, it is impressive watching him play defensively as well. And I am just enjoying him on both sides of the ball.
We'll take that. And Flobo, I pose the same question.
Oh man, I can't say Byron Buxton because deep down I thought he already had it. It was kind of like waiting for it to happen. And maybe I'm the first one to admit that. I'm like the first person. I'm top 5 people to admit when I'm wrong. I don't have to be the first. But I remember going to Angel games, a year ago, being like, yo, what is Joe Adell doing? They need to move on from this guy. I don't really think he gels with the system. And literally, he's the reason why I buy tickets, because it ain't winning games, unfortunately, for the Angels this season. But they're able to do that and control that team. It was a team with a lot of young parts that didn't seem they work together, like Sean Noel and Nito coming into his own. Like, they're able to sit there and say, hey, look, I can hold my own and also be an all-star candidate, or should have been an all-star candidate. I got to get the Joe Adell, man. So he got the AL Player of the Week. I was really happy for the bro. Like, I knew him personally. I was like, yeah, man, I always believe in you, except that one year I didn't.
That 1 year I didn't. Speaking of a meeting when you get it wrong, shout out to our guy JD out there, who highly pointed out and accurately pointed out that Trent Grisham, 2-time Gold Glove winner in San Diego. So he was again, I still didn't know necessarily where he was going to play. When they had Judge, they had Bellinger, they were trying to work in Dominguez. I didn't know where they were going to play him defensively, but he is definitely he has proven his defensive prowess. Still say, obviously, I'd still strongly believe, and obviously I watched the game, so I know how strong Byron Buxton is defensively. Joe Adell, believe it or not, was playing some center field this year for the Angels. He has played center field as well. I'm going to take Flobo's assessment, if you will, on this. And I am going to actually say Byron Buxton is not the surprise here. Only because, April, as you said it as well, I think everybody knows when Byron Buxton's right and he's healthy, he's one of the best players. He could be one of the best players in baseball. The Twins is getting this healthy Byron Buxton year, right? Okay. And you're starting to see him maximize on his health. It's not even, he's shown enough where it wasn't like, oh, he's maximizing on his potential. I think Joe Adell, indeed, is the guy that's fulfilling his potential. But I think Byron Buxton was a guy that we knew, if this guy's right, he's going to be one of the best players in the game. And so it's really awesome to see Byron Buxton putting it all together, especially, stolen bases, defensive plays, and the home runs. And he's doing it also from the leadoff spot. So it's kind of crazy, but he's doing it from the leadoff spot as well. I'm going to say, as much as Byron Buxton is literally on Finish Your Breakfast every other day, I'm going to say I expected is not a strong word, but knew that he was capable of doing this. Okay, I knew he was capable of doing this. I would say that I did not know Trent Grisham was capable of having the type of season that he's having. But I will say, Trent Grisham was one of those players that when I watched him play for San Diego, even in the playoffs or whoever, when I watched Trent Grisham play, he was kind of the guy that always was doing something that was like, man, that guy's good. I should be paying more attention to that guy. He's always like getting a big hit. He's always doing something. Then obviously it did take me a while to find out that Trent Grisham was black. Once I found out Trent Grisham was black, then it was like I'm paying even more attention to him. And I'm like, oh man, this guy is actually really good. Then he starts with the Yankees and he starts hot. And I remember having conversations with Lewis Brinson and others while we were at a game watching it at Yankee Stadium, being like, man, Trent Grisham's really like he's earning his way out here in New York. And most people gave you the kind of, yeah, he's good now, but it's gonna taper off. It's gonna come back to reality. And to his credit, he hasn't come back to reality yet. He's had a career year in the Bronx, again, at 28 years old. And it's funny because until JD said it, I hadn't seen a lot of Trent Grisham defensive highlights this year. Like, I haven't seen him, like, lighting up the – like, Buxton, you see. Go and look at 2025 Buxton defensive highlights, and you see it. Like, it's there. But obviously, Grisham has proven throughout the years that he can play solid defense. That doesn't seem to be what he's – that's not what I'm seeing a lot of highlights for in the Bronx. It's hitting home runs in that right field and hitting big home runs and hitting clutch home runs. I say all that to say he's having a career year. It is a surprising year to me that he's kept it up this long. I know he's a good player, but the answer is Joe Adell. Congratulations, Flobo. You are
I get one.
Because I don't know who saw this coming. 35 home runs. He's like the fourth like outfielder. He's like fourth in all the outfield in Major League Baseball in home runs. And I was going back and looking when was the last time, because if you add Aaron Judge in there and his 42 home runs, you're looking at African American, you're looking at Black American born players, 4 of them that are going to finish with at least over 30 home runs. And James Wood at 27 could, in this next month, if he catches a little bit of hotness, could also be. I was like, when was the last time we had 5 Black players over 30 home runs in Major League Baseball? And I was going back and looking at the numbers, and it's not that crazy. Marcus Semien had some, I don't know if he had 30, but there were some players that had upper 20s in home runs, and Mookie had, what did he have, like 39 that year? We were arguing about the MVP, like that. But what struck me was, man, that 30 home run marker, there is a real line of demarcation there. Like, I think we get spoiled because we see the Shoheis of the world and the Aaron Judges of the world, and there's always a player that seems to come out of nowhere and hit, like, they'll be at 39, 42, 40, and you're like, that's really, really good. But that line that's like over 30 is pretty small in a Major League Baseball season. So the idea that Joe Adell has 35 and counting, and in order to do that, like, again, it's not the way that I look at it. It's not the, like the Shohei or the Judge or the Riley, but it really is like every third day Joe Adell's hitting a home run. You know what I mean? Like, it may not be like the biggest home runs, it may not be the loudest home runs in the context of where the Angels are in the season. But it's like every third day I'm doing the show, and I'm like, man, Joe Adell hit another one. And so, and you hear people talk about Joe Adell. Flobo, you were just alluding to this as well. And all of the pros, the guys that seen Joe Adell take batting practice, they talk about Joe Adell taking batting practice like they talked about Mark McGwire taking batting practice. Like, it just sounds different off the bat. It was only a matter of time before he really put it together and kind of figured this game out. And so, seeing what Adell is doing in LA with like this team, and everybody knows it's like, all right, especially if Trout's not in the lineup today, you're just gonna have to face Joe Adell, and he's crushing it, man. I mean,
I have a question though. Let's say I'm gonna ask. I know you asked me the GM question, so this is for both of you. You are the GM of the Angels right now. You got 2.5 years of control on Joe Adell, but you also have the 27th ranked farm system. Do you lock up Joe Adell, or do you try to build for the future? Because the Angels have a cool problem on their hands right now with him. Mind you, Odell's making $2.1 million.
I've been talking long enough. April, you go first.
So before you answer that, Joe Adell's making $2.1 million this year, and he will be free agent in 2028. So he has like 2.5 years of control.
Yep.
I'm gonna go on ahead and say, yeah, you lock him up. I think one of the things that the Angels also need to have is a sense of loyalty to the players that are on their team. And for a player who is performing well and showing up the way that he is and improving and showing that he wants to be there, you give him the benefit of the doubt and you allow him to continue to work for you. I remember when Cheats talked about him, playing in center. That was the time when Trout was playing right field periodically, as well. So for Joe Adell, the way that he's playing, this is the player that you've hoped and assumed for him to be. Why not keep that player? You don't know what's coming with your other people, but you at least know that this player exists. So yes, you absolutely lock him up and you keep him on your team.
Flobo, let me ask you a question before I answer this. How long is Mike Trout locked up for?
Oh, that's a good question. I'll look it up for you because I think Mike Trout he's in the back half of his current contract.
That record-setting contract,
which is wild because it's since been eclipsed like 3 times over.
Yeah, but I think it was 10.
Yeah, it's 10 years, so it's 2000 to 2031, 2030. He was making $37 million this year, next year, and onward until his age 39 season at the end of 2030. So you have Trout then, in theory, but I'm not sure if he's going to play that long.
Yeah, and so here's the question. Because rebuilds, we were just kind of talking about this in the context of the Nationals. We can talk about this in the context of the Orioles. Talk about this in the context of the Marlins or any team. At what point do you stop rebuilding, right, and start going for it, right? Like, again, wrong sport, but Philadelphia, there was the process, right? You're tanking for the draft picks, process. At what point do you stop the process of the tanking, right, and start the process of trying to win games? I think we're starting to see that with the Nationals and their expectations. We saw it with the Orioles, right? Last couple of years. This year, it didn't work, right? Like in the last 3 years, it seemed to you're working your way and getting your pieces and getting in the playoffs. But this was supposed to be the year, and they're in the dead last, rock bottom. And that's what baseball happens sometimes. To answer your question specifically about Adell, 2 years left. He's 26 years old, so he's going to hit free agency around the time that first free agent usually hits it, 29, 30. That's like the average, right? That's like the league average. Do we honestly expect the Angels to be good? A good playoff contending team? A team now in baseball, you can go from worst to first pretty quickly in a division, depending on what you get. But do you expect the young players in that system to be good enough to win games to the point where you're in the playoffs? If the answer to that is yes, then yes, you extend them tomorrow. You put them with Zach Neto. You put them with Christian Moore. You see where Kyron Paris is. You still have Trout as the old man on the hill at this point. But if you think the young arms, because that's really what this game comes down to now, as these arms and that pitching, if you think that it's good enough that you can start the winning process of this, not the rebuilding, but the winning over the next 3 years, even 4 years, I think you lock them up. Mark Cheats? I'm probably trading.
Dang! Not to Baltimore, though, I hope.
I'm probably trading him, and I'm probably trying to get more young arms and more young pieces to, I'm trying to do the deal that gets you the 4 to 5 prospects, and in exchange for that, I'm giving you my 40 home run guy. Like I'm trying to do the Marlins when, again, it didn't work. Like it didn't work for the Marlins long term, right? Stanton's gone, Yelich is gone. All these guys are gone and being all-stars other places, and you're looking at the Marlins, and I think, Kim Yang led them to the playoffs that COVID shortened season, right? But overall, you've given up all of these players trying to get these holes, and baseball's a hard game to win at in that kind of roulette type situation. But man, if I'm the Angels, I'm fairly young, right? And I'm gonna try to get younger. I'm gonna try to get brighter. I'm gonna try to get that Orioles formula that puts those kids in the playoffs the last 2 years.
But what if you take that? I think with that too is, what gamble are you willing to take? And do you want to take the gamble and go with the younger players, not sure if how they're going to develop? Or do you take what has been proven and shown to you in the moment that you have it?
Yeah, so that's a good question. But I think for me, and Flobo, you can weigh in on this as well. In LA, for the Angels, I'm okay taking the risk on trading the big piece for the young players, only because I'm not in New York, Philadelphia, I'm not in a place where the fan base is going to be in a complete uproar because I'm trading this guy away, right? Like if I'm in a different city, in a different baseball town, in a different baseball environment, and I've got Joe Adell and I'm trading him for 4 or 5 pieces that may not be in the major leagues for the next 2 years, you're going to hear about that in certain cities. I think the Angels fans, for lack of a better term, are so beat down that it's like, womp womp. What else are the Angels going to do? This is what's expected from the
They're
Angels.
beat down and they love their red-blooded American contingent. So like because look, because you could say that for Shonwell or even Nitto, but they're gonna, of those 3, Adele will be the first one to go. They're not.
Get them out of there. Get them out of there. Yeah. So I mean, yeah, I think, and this is just probably my lack of confidence, if you will, and it could be wrong, right? I mean, some of these guys, those young players on the Angels are really good. Flobo, you were the guy. Look, you were the guy that had the Angels in the playoffs.
Man, what was I thinking?
Might believe. No, I'm saying, but like, there might have been something in this roster that you saw.
Yeah.
That said these guys can win.
So
now.
There was a bit of and again, I didn't have them win the division. I wasn't that lofty, but I did have that young core because Shonwell was brought up way premature, and even Zach Littell was too. But they did the things the Royals did 2 seasons before, and they did what the Snakes did, and it's got these like reclamation veteran parts. So you had the balance of experience and youth and speed and power. And Ron Washington, obviously, I didn't foresee what was going to happen to him at the helm. I was like, okay, maybe you might get more of the proverbial blood from a stone. So I had them doing a push. I mean, they're not a bad team. I think they're at 500. But yeah, I had them going to the playoffs, and I'll own it because things change as baseball.
Yeah, and I mean, I think it's a good question. Let me just see to answer your question. They're 67 and 76. 67 and 76. 4.69 winning percentage. Yeah, but I think for Joe Adell, I think you see what you can get. I'm not kidding. Again, I could be wrong. He's wrapped up for 2 more years. You definitely probably let him play out next year. See if you get some better luck there. I think the question is, and again, we went through this, and Byron Buxton was pretty adamant. Of these 3 guys, Buxton was the most hell-bent on saying that he's not getting traded, right? I'm going to be a Minnesota Twin for life. And, at the time, it sounded like crazy talk, but he kind of believes it. And, Minnesota's been, they believe it or not, surprised some people the second half of the season. So,
you gotta give shots to good old Kirby Puckett, right? Like he was a Twin for life too. So.
Yeah. They've got a kid in the farm system. We talk about him a lot on the show, Kalen Culpepper, who I believe will be in the major leagues next season. He reminds you of a Christian Moore type. He's probably He has the potential to be a better hitter, power hitter than Christian Moore, but I think Culpepper is a kid that's Minnesota fans. If he gets up there next year, I think hopefully he'll perform and they'll fall in love with him. He's a great kid out of Kansas State. Um, all right, guys. Well, we are an hour and a half. We are gonna wrap this bad boy up. I want to thank you all. Thank everyone that was on the chat participating. You can catch this live tomorrow or everywhere that podcasts are streaming. So make sure you subscribe, rate, and review. Flobo, what's going on with 10th Inning Talk?
Well, I love that show, but I have In the Booth. That's April's show. April's show is 10th Inning Talk.
I do love that show. You got me.
I love 10th Inning Talk.
It's a long day.
It's for breakfast. It's high class entertainment content. But in the booth, we finally put up the YouTube videos on there. People were asking for the video version of the interviews. So check out the Black Baseball Mixtape YouTube channel and get the whole catalog of In the Booth. New episodes are coming as we do it, as we roll into the playoffs. So a lot of good things happening on that side. But definitely you can see some of the guests and my face on that YouTube channel.
Thank you, Flobo. Thank you for keeping me straight there. Hey. April, 10th Inning Talk. What's new?
Yes. Well, I too have uploaded most of my videos to YouTube. So make sure you go out if you haven't already and subscribe to 10th Inning Talk on YouTube. You can do so. And this week I actually have a guest on, and I was able to find a Black woman who is a fan of both softball and baseball, an AUSL lover, just like I am. And so we are chatting it up about it. And I can't wait for y'all to hear it because, I feel like we're an anomaly out there, but yeah, it absolutely exists.
Fantastic. So that is 10th Inning Talk, hosted by April. In the Booth, hosted by our guy Flobo. Boys, make sure you check those out. As always, this is the show here, the flagship show, Black Baseball Mixtape Podcast. Make sure you follow that every morning. April's been on me for months now. Finish Your Breakfast is also now on TikTok. So it's on Instagram every morning. It's on TikTok every morning. Still haven't figured out all the social media apparatuses to get Finish Your Breakfast, but we'll get there slowly but surely. Look, man, I'm telling you, there's so much going on. Really exciting time here in Richmond, though. This is the absolute last week for the legendary ballpark, the Diamond. I guess it's 40 years in. The Diamond has been serving the greater Richmond community with first the Richmond Braves, and now for the last 15 years, I believe it's the Richmond Flying Squirrels. This stadium's last game is Sunday. It will be blown up, if you will. I technically don't think it'll be like an explosion. I think they're going to leave it up and have college play there for a little bit of the season. But there will be a brand new, shiny ballpark. CarMax Park will be opening for the Squirrels next season. So there's a lot going on this week in Richmond around the ballpark, like the all diamond team and all of this stuff. So it's really exciting. I will be at the ballpark most of the week. Got some really cool interviews lined up for some from the young guns that are in the Giants organization. So the young African Americans in the Giants organization. I'm excited to talk to some of them. But that's it, man. It's going good. Finish Your Breakfast every morning. There's a brand new Black Kids Play Baseball comic strip that weighs in on the ESPN baseball conspiracy. So that's always fun. ESPN, you got to show more baseball all the time. We'll see. And there's also a new episode of Let's Play Catch. This one features Naomi Ryan, who is the class of 26, uncommitted class of 26 women's baseball national team. She's one of the youngest members on the national team. She is a left-handed pitcher, utility player, switch hitter as well. And it'll be interesting. Really talented, really poised, really great interview. If you check it out, she's phenomenal. But one of those things that we're learning is that they're going through this process now of seeing if she can find a home to play college baseball. And it's not an easy process. Obviously, she's a woman, so that makes one factor. There are women that have now played college baseball. One of them is on Naomi's women's national team. So another one just signed, another class of 26 woman pitcher just signed to play in college for next year. But it is a process. It's a process that is different. And, it's going to take not only a unique person like Naomi to do it, but it's also going to take a unique college to accept her and, and welcome her in like her high school team has welcomed her in now. So it's a long story short to say, Let's Play Catch, Naomi Ryan. You should check that out as well. Thank you guys for staying with us. We're going to wrap it here and we'll catch you next time.